Have you ever paused to ask yourself, truly ask, what's the whole point of this intricate, beautiful, often challenging journey we call life? We chase so many things, don't we? Career success, a perfect relationship, inner peace, perhaps even enlightenment. But if you strip away all the layers, for many of us, it kind of boils down to one fundamental, universal desire, just to be happy. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into profound wisdom, guided by a truly exceptional figure, the Dalai Lama. We'll be drawing heavily from The Art of Happiness, a remarkable book that distills his invaluable conversations with psychiatrist Howard Cutler. It's a powerful blend of ancient Tibetan Buddhist wisdom and modern psychological insights. And our mission today is to extract the most practical, actionable advice on how we can train our minds, move beyond negative emotions, and cultivate the kind of compassion that truly unlocks lasting joy.
And you know what's truly illuminating in the Dalai Lama's work right from the outset is his central assertion. The very purpose of life, he says, is to be happy. And this isn't about fleeting pleasure, that temporary high we often mistake for joy, but a deeper, more enduring state of being. And as we explore today, this isn't an isolated idea. We find diverse wisdom traditions, from the ancient texts of the Bhagavad Gita to the profound insights of the Upanishads, all echoing this fundamental truth, and remarkably offering consistent pathways to achieving it. It really is a universal quest, one that transcends cultures and centuries.
So, if you've ever felt overwhelmed by the relentless demands of daily life, if you've struggled with persistent negativity that seems to, well, cling to you, or if you simply yearn for a more profound, unshakable sense of well-being, this deep dive is absolutely for you. We're going to unpack some truly surprising insights and practical techniques that can fundamentally transform your internal landscape, helping you navigate towards that lasting, authentic joy. Okay, let's start with this universal pursuit of joy, which, as we just heard, is so central to the Dalai Lama's philosophy. It's a core theme across so many ancient teachings. Consider the Bhagavad Gita, a foundational Hindu scripture. It tells us that the living entities like the Lord are full of consciousness, and they are after happiness. The Lord is perpetually happy, and if the living entities associate with the Lord, cooperate with him, and take part in his association, then they also become happy. This isn't merely a religious decree. It speaks to a deep human truth, woven into our very fabric, a fundamental drive to seek and experience joy, just as it's depicted in the divine.
Right. And it's not just the Bhagavad Gita. What's so compelling is the sheer consistency of this idea across spiritual traditions. It suggests a universal recognition of our deepest human aspiration. For instance, the Upanishads, a collection of philosophical texts in Hinduism, promise everlasting happiness to the wise who see him in the self, and are subsequently released from all bonds. This isn't about acquiring external markers of success or temporary gratifications. Instead, it directs us towards a happiness rooted in self-realization, in understanding our own inherent nature.
Understanding ourselves.
And connecting with a deeper, unified reality rather than being dependent on ever-changing external circumstances. It's an internal discovery, not an external acquisition.
That brings us to a crucial distinction that the Dalai Lama often highlights: the illusion of external gratification versus true, lasting joy. We so often equate happiness with getting what we want, don't we? It's that dream job, the perfect car, a flawless relationship, or finally reaching a specific goal. We chase these things relentlessly, convinced they hold the key to our happiness. But if we're truly honest with ourselves, is that a profound, unshakable joy, or is it just a temporary fix? Just a fleeting sensation that quickly fades, leaving us yearning for the next thing?
It's precisely that fleeting nature that the Philokalia, an ancient collection of spiritual writings from the Eastern Orthodox tradition, zeroes in on. It makes a truly crucial point. Every pleasure is inevitably succeeded by pain. It describes how we often direct our whole effort towards pleasure and do all we can to avoid pain. The struggle, it explains, lies in trying to keep the two apart from each other, which is impossible, and to indulge self-love in ways which bring only pleasure and are entirely free from pain. This reveals a profound, almost counterintuitive truth: if pleasure is inherently intertwined with pain,
Which it seems to be.
and one invariably follows the other, how can we possibly escape suffering by simply chasing more pleasure? It's a cyclical trap, really, where the constant desire for pleasure actually obscures our awareness of the pain that accompanies it, binding us rather than liberating us.
That's a truly powerful observation, this inherent link between pleasure and its eventual pain. And it's fascinating how modern psychological thought, though from a very different tradition, often arrives at a similar conclusion. Erich Fromm, in his influential work, The Art of Loving, highlights that our capacity to truly love, and by extension to truly be happy, well, depends on one's capacity to emerge from narcissism and from the incestuous fixation to mother and clan. He's talking about growing beyond those self-centered desires, right? Beyond those primal attachments that keep us focused solely on our own needs and wants.
Exactly. If we're stuck in a state of constantly seeking personal gratification, driven by narcissism, we're essentially trapped in that cycle of pleasure and pain the Philokalia describes. True happiness, then, seems to demand a different kind of growth, an outward movement, a transcendence of self-centeredness.
So moving beyond just me, me, me.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And if we zoom out and connect this to a larger, overarching spiritual perspective, it fundamentally reshapes our entire understanding of happiness. Deepak Chopra, in his 7 Spiritual Laws of Success, posits that we are, in our essential state, pure consciousness. Pure consciousness is pure potentiality. It is the field of all possibilities and infinite creativity. Pure consciousness is our spiritual essence. Being infinite and unbounded, it is also pure joy.
Pure joy, wow.
This profound insight doesn't just shift the focus from seeking happiness externally. It suggests we are happiness. It's not something to be acquired, but something to be recognized and uncovered as our inherent fundamental state.
That reframes everything, doesn't it? Happiness isn't an elusive goal to be acquired. It's something to be uncovered within us, an innate quality that's already there, waiting. Chopra's law of unity further illuminates this, stating that underlying the infinite diversity of life is the unity of one all-pervasive spirit. Quote, there is no separation between you and this field of energy. The field of pure potentiality is your own self. This suggests a deep interconnectedness that is inherently joyful, a unity that dissolves the illusion of separation, and in doing so, reveals the boundless joy that is our true spiritual essence.
Absolutely. When we tap into this fundamental unity, we find a wellspring of happiness that is constant and independent of external factors, which echoes the Dalai Lama's message of enduring joy perfectly.
Okay, this idea of inherent joy is beautiful, but, well, for many of us, it feels very far away. We're often caught in mental traps. This is where the Dalai Lama's emphasis on mind training becomes incredibly practical, right?
Exactly. It's the how-to.
Eckhart Tolle, in The Power of Now, dissects the crucial role of our own minds in shaping our experience of happiness or suffering. He states it plainly. As long as the egoic mind is running your life, you cannot truly be at ease. You cannot be at peace or fulfilled except for brief intervals when you obtained what you wanted, when a craving has just been fulfilled. It's so true. He meticulously identifies common ego identifications. We cling to possessions, our jobs, social status, relationships, even our belief systems, and then makes a stark yet liberating point. None of these is you.
That's a kicker, isn't it?
Yeah. The challenge and the path to true freedom lies in recognizing that these external identifications are not our true selves, and that we will, sooner or later, have to relinquish them all. It's quite a thought.
It is. And it's a powerful indictment of the ego. It's fascinating how this insight resonates with ancient wisdom, too. The Bhagavad Gita, for example, also emphasizes the mind as the chief agent which is driving him in this material existence. It describes the conditioned soul as being bound up, as though shackled by iron chains, with the mind being the primary force. When the mind is in the mode of goodness, our activities are constructive. In passion, they become troublesome. And in ignorance, well, they lead to suffering.
So the mind is the driver, for good or ill.
Precisely.
Yeah.
This universal insight, spanning millennia and diverse traditions, profoundly underscores the absolute necessity of mental discipline. It's not just a nice idea or a spiritual aspiration. It's a fundamental requirement for navigating existence and achieving a lasting state of happiness.
So if the egoic mind is indeed the architect of so much of our suffering, constantly chasing cravings and resisting pain, how do we free ourselves from its relentless grasp? That's the big question.
Well, Tolle offers a profound insight on the practice of detachment and non-resistance, particularly when it comes to pain. He observes, if you close around the pain and stop it from passing through, it will stay in you.
Like holding on to it.
Exactly. That is why our natural tendency to resist is so counterproductive. His advice is simple, yet counterintuitive. Relax when the pain comes up inside your heart and actually dare to face it. It will pass. He emphasizes that every time you relax and release, a piece of that pain leaves forever, whereas resistance only serves to build it up and entrench it further.
Relax into the pain. That takes courage.
It really does. But it raises a really important question for many of us. Why do we hold on to pain, even when it's causing us so much suffering?
Yeah, why do we do that?
The Untethered Soul provides a compelling and frankly rather shocking explanation. It states that as long as part of your sense of self is invested in your emotional pain, you will unconsciously resist or sabotage every attempt that you make to heal that pain.
Wait, so we identify with the pain.
Yes. The startling realization here is that we often become attached to our pain, integrating it so deeply into our identity that letting it go feels like losing a part of ourselves. This unconscious process of making pain an essential part of who we are is what keeps us trapped.
Wow.
Breaking this attachment by making that unconscious process conscious is the crucial first step toward true liberation from suffering.
It's an uncomfortable truth to face, that we might be inadvertently clinging to our own suffering. It truly is an internal job, isn't it?
Absolutely.
The Dhammapada, a revered collection of Buddhist teachings, echoes this with timeless wisdom. By oneself is wrong done. By oneself is one defiled. By oneself wrong is not done. By oneself surely is one cleansed. One cannot purify another. Purity and impurity are in oneself alone.
It's so clear, isn't it?
Incredibly clear. This ancient text makes it absolutely plain that the responsibility for our inner state, for our spiritual cleanliness or defilement, rests squarely on our own shoulders. No one else can do the work for us. It's a solo journey of self-purification and liberation, aligning perfectly with the Dalai Lama's emphasis on individual mind training.
And the practical path to that internal purity, to that genuine cleansing, is illuminated by the power of awareness and mindfulness. The Dhammapada praises those who are wise in awareness, who rejoice in awareness, describing them as mindful and of pure deeds. The sustained state of alertness and inner presence, it says, creates an island that a flood does not overwhelm.
An inner island. I like that metaphor.
It's powerful, isn't it? It's not just poetic language. It's a metaphor for an unshakable inner refuge, a sanctuary amidst life's inevitable storms. It's a call to cultivate a heightened state of consciousness that is not easily swayed by external forces or internal turmoil.
And Sam Harris, the neuroscientist and author, in his book Waking Up, describes meditation as a skill, much like learning a jab in boxing or coaxing music from a guitar.
A learnable skill.
Yes. He points out that with consistent practice, mindfulness becomes a well-formed habit of attention, and the difference between it and ordinary thinking will become increasingly clear. He offers a powerful analogy, likening it to repeatedly awakening from a dream to find yourself safely in bed.
Ah, that's a great image.
Isn't it? The relief, he says, is instantaneous, a sudden liberation from the incessant, often anxious narrative of the dreaming mind. It might be difficult to stay awake in this mindful state for more than a few seconds at first, he acknowledges.
Sure, takes practice.
But the consistent practice gradually builds this capacity for sustained awareness.
And stepping back, connecting this to the broader picture of the self, this practice of mindfulness is fundamentally about observing our thoughts and emotions without identification. The Untethered Soul explains that consciousness simply watches.
Just watches.
Yeah. The object comes and goes, and the consciousness watches it come and go. The consciousness experiences the creation of thoughts and emotions, and it has the clarity to see where they came from. It simply watches. This distinction between the watcher, our pure consciousness, and the watched, our thoughts and emotions, is absolutely key.
The watcher and the watched. Okay.
It allows us to disengage from the incessant mental chatter and emotional turbulence, realizing that we are not our thoughts or feelings, but the silent awareness that observes them. This creates an inner space for true freedom and, ultimately, profound joy.
Sometimes, though, overcoming ingrained negativity means letting go of a part of ourselves that we've held on to for a long, long time, even if it's painful. M. Scott Peck, in his seminal work, The Road Less Traveled, describes depression not as purely negative, but often as a normal and basically healthy phenomenon when it signifies giving up or loss of the old self.
That's a really interesting perspective, depression as potentially healthy.
Yeah, he sees it as a natural, albeit difficult, part of significant mental and spiritual growth. A period of intensive change where a proportionate amount of the old self must be relinquished. Even the simple act of seeking help, he notes, can represent giving up an old self-image like, I'm okay, especially for those in cultures where admitting weakness is challenging.
This is a vital and often overlooked point in our pursuit of happiness, I think. Peck explains that A proportionate amount of the old self must be given up for significant personal and spiritual growth to occur. He also makes a provocative assertion. What sometimes appears as meekness or gentle acceptance can in fact be weakness.
Weakness, how so?
A failure to confront when confrontation is required for the nurture of spiritual growth, which he says is a failure to love.
Wow. So avoiding confrontation can be unloving.
In certain contexts, yes. It means true spiritual strength sometimes demands active engagement and courageous confrontation, not just passive acceptance. It's about discerning when a situation requires robust, loving action for growth, rather than simply shying away from difficulty in the name of a superficial peace.
That really challenges our assumptions about what true goodness or spiritual peace looks like, doesn't it? It suggests that a purely passive, non-confrontational stance might actually be detrimental to growth, highlighting the need for a certain robustness in our spiritual journey, a willingness to engage actively when love and true development demand it.
It's not about being aggressive, but about being authentically present and discerning, ready to act when necessary for the well-being and development of all involved. This aligns with the Dalai Lama's concept of an active compassion that isn't afraid to confront suffering.
Right, active compassion.
And speaking of potential pitfalls in our interactions, A Course in Miracles, a spiritual text emphasizing universal love and forgiveness, gives us a profound warning. It cautions against this kind of ego-driven interference, especially when we attempt to correct a brother.
Trying to fix someone else.
Exactly. It warns that correction is of God, who does not know of arrogance. The text asserts that your brother's errors are not of him any more than yours are of you. Accept his errors as real, and you have attacked yourself.
Because we're all connected.
Precisely. Because if God has but one Son, there is but one God. You share reality with him because reality is not divided. Therefore, seeing errors as real and attempting to correct them from a place of ego only reinforces the illusion of separation. This suggests that our specialness, any sense of superiority or being different, becomes an enemy if it serves to separate us from others or from a unified reality.
So feeling special can be a trap.
It can be. We are called to leave all illusions of ourselves outside this holy place, coming in hope and honesty, recognizing our shared divinity.
That's a truly revolutionary shift in perspective, isn't it? Instead of focusing on others' perceived flaws or believing that our own self-proclaimed specialness gives us the right to judge, it turns the mirror back on us. It encourages a deep sense of self-forgiveness and a recognition of our shared reality. If we are all part of one undivided reality, then judging another's errors is, in essence, an attack on ourselves.
It is.
It's a powerful call to transcend the ego's arrogance and embrace a fundamental unity where true correction can only come from a divine, non-arrogant source, dissolving the treachery of specialness that so often separates us.
Separates us from each other and from our own inner joy. Absolutely.
So if our true nature is indeed pure consciousness, boundless and joyful, and if we are all interconnected at a fundamental level, then compassion isn't just a moral virtue or a nice thing to do. It emerges as a practical, essential path to achieving and sustaining that lasting happiness. It's in alignment with our deepest truth, and it's a cornerstone of the Dalai Lama's teachings. Right.
Absolutely central. And building on that sense of unity, the Upanishads beautifully articulate this interconnectedness, describing the one God hidden in all beings, all-pervading, within the self of all, overseer of deeds, dwelling in all beings, witness, watcher, absolute, without strands.
Wow. That's beautiful poetry, but also profound theology.
It is. This profound idea of fundamental unity that a single divine presence inhabits and permeates all existence means that to harm another is to harm a part of this universal self. And to extend kindness and understanding is to recognize and nourish that shared divinity. Compassion, then, isn't simply an act of charity. It's an act of profound recognition of our inherent oneness and a direct path to experiencing the joy of that unity.
This inherent interconnectedness naturally leads us to the transformative practice of giving and selflessness. The Tao Te Ching, a classic Chinese text, captures this beautifully. He gives and wants nothing in return. One with true virtue always seeks a way to give. One who lacks true virtue always seeks a way to get. To the giver comes the fullness of life. To the taker, just an empty hand.
It's such a clear principle.
It is. This isn't just poetic language. It's a profound statement about the energetic flow of the universe and how our actions align or misalign with it. The true giver, free from expectation, experiences an abundance and a fullness of life that the taker, focused on acquisition, can never truly grasp.
And Deepak Chopra formalizes this principle as the law of giving, stating quite clearly, The more you give, the more you will receive.
Give more, receive more.
Because you will keep the abundance of the universe circulating in your life. He explains that anything of true value in life only multiplies when it is given. He cautions that if the act of giving makes you feel as though you've lost something, then the gift wasn't truly given from the heart and thus won't generate increase.
The intention matters.
Hugely. He offers incredibly specific, practical advice. If you want joy, give joy to others. If you want love, learn to give love. If you want attention and appreciation, learn to give attention and appreciation. If you want material affluence, help others to become materially affluent.
So it's like attracts like, in a way. What you put out comes back.
In essence, yes. This isn't a transactional exchange. It's a fundamental principle of how our energy and intention create our reality, fostering a cycle of abundance and happiness.
And it's so important to remember, as you said, that this isn't about transactional giving, where you expect an immediate, measurable return. It's entirely about the intention behind the act.
Okay.
Chopra emphasizes that the intention should always be to create happiness for the giver and receiver.
Purple.
Because happiness is life-supporting and life-sustaining and therefore generates increase. When your giving is unconditional and comes from a place of genuine joy and selfless intention, the positive energy behind that act increases exponentially.
Yes, exactly. It becomes a powerful force for generating abundance, not just for the recipient, but for your own life as well, deeply enriching your inner world.
Now, Tara Brach, a renowned meditation teacher, in her book Radical Acceptance, introduces the crucial role of compassion alongside mindfulness, highlighting how they are truly two wings of the same bird, as you put it earlier.
Yes, inseparable, really.
She notes that without compassion, mindfulness alone can actually compound our suffering by feeling angry with ourselves for getting into the situation in the first place.
Beating yourself up for feeling bad.
Right. If we're merely observing our pain without kindness, we might just add self-judgment to the mix. Compassion, however, enables us to be softly and kindly present with our open wounds, allowing us to gently embrace our pain rather than resisting it.
It creates a genuinely healing presence, transforming our internal landscape from one of self-recrimination to one of gentle acceptance and care. It's about befriending ourselves.
Befriending ourselves, I like that. And she takes this idea even further, advocating for a radical widening of our circle of compassion. She says that even if we don't like someone, seeing their vulnerability allows us to open our heart to them.
That's a profound and challenging idea, isn't it?
It really is. It suggests that our habitual feelings of attraction and aversion do not have to overrule our basic capacity to see that, like us, they suffer and long to be happy.
Seeing the shared humanity beneath the surface.
Yes. When we truly look beneath the surface and see the shared humanity, the shared struggle for happiness, even those we might naturally dislike or fear, our natural human response of empathy can emerge. It's a powerful argument that when we engage with this practice, our circle of compassion naturally widens to include them, dissolving barriers that ego often creates.
And the teaching to love your enemies and pray for them that persecute you, from Dietrich Bonhoeffer's The Cost of Discipleship, is a powerful historical example of this.
A really radical example.
Absolutely. It advocates for this extraordinary quality of Christian life, unreserved love for our enemies, extending kindness even to the unloving and the unloved, to our religious, political, and personal adversaries. This radical form of love fulfilled through self-sacrifice is presented as the differential of the Christian religion, enabling a transcendence of the world and a victory over conventional reactive responses.
It's such a high bar.
It is. It is a profound call to extend compassion to its absolute limits, seeing beyond surface-level actions to the shared human longing beneath. A message that echoes the Dalai Lama's teachings on universal responsibility very strongly.
And this expansive view of compassion naturally extends to our relationships, transforming them from simple companionship into powerful paths for spiritual growth.
Yes, taking relationships to another level.
The Seed of the Soul, by Gary Zukov, introduces the concept of spiritual partnership, a dynamic where the commitment isn't just to the other person, but a promise toward their own growth, to their own spiritual survival and enhancement.
So the relationship itself becomes a vehicle for growth.
Exactly. It's in these deep, conscious commitments that you cannot learn to care for another person more than yourself, because the intertwining of lives becomes a crucible for mutual evolution and profound self-discovery.
This truly elevates our relationships from mere social constructs or transactional arrangements to profound vehicles for spiritual development. In a spiritual partnership, individuals experience their perceptions and observations as helpful and indeed central to their growth.
Using the relationship as a mirror, in a way.
Precisely. It's about learning to trust not only each other, but also your collective ability to grow together. Recognizing that the journey toward authentic power affects not only you individually, but also the larger collectives in which you participate, including your partner. It moves beyond merely physical or emotional survival to conscious, shared evolution, creating a relationship that continuously fosters lasting joy.
Okay, so we've talked about the nature of happiness, training the mind, the power of compassion. Now let's get into some more practical pathways. To truly integrate these profound insights into our daily lives, especially the Dalai Lama's practical advice, many traditions emphasize consistent internal work, a dedicated regimen of mind training.
The discipline aspect, yes.
The Way of a Pilgrim, a classic of Russian Orthodox spirituality, beautifully describes the practice of unceasing prayer. Here, the mind listens to the words pronounced by the tongue and is gradually drawn away from its distractedness and turns its attention to the prayer.
Using repetition to focus the mind.
Exactly. This isn't about a frantic, anxious kind of prayer, but a gentle, persistent turning inward. Using the repetition of sacred words, often with prayer beads, to quiet the ceaseless chatter of the mind, gradually bringing it to a state of focus and calm.
And what's truly remarkable about this consistent practice is its described outcome. Eventually, the mind could even descend into the heart.
The mind descending into the heart.
And then the heart itself freely, without any coercion and with unspeakable sweetness, begins to call on the name of Jesus Christ as it pours itself out to God in an unceasing stream of tenderness. This vivid, almost poetic description offers a glimpse into a state of profound inner peace and spontaneous devotion.
It sounds incredible.
It speaks to a deep transformation where prayer moves from a conscious effort to an automatic, joyful expression from the very core of one's being. A natural outpouring of divine love, much like heavy rains soften the parched earth, bringing forth new life.
And we also find powerful, even, miraculous anecdotes of spiritual awakening in these traditions, reinforcing the idea that such dedicated internal work can lead to tangible, profound inner transformation.
Those moments of grace, perhaps.
Yes. From Paramahansa Yogananda's autobiography of a yogi, we have the account of him feeling a great light and a flood of ineffable bliss overwhelming my heart to an innermost core at his master's touch.
Wow.
This isn't just a mental shift. It's a deep, visceral, and instantaneous experience that profoundly alters one's being. A direct communication with divine power and a powerful testament to the potential for human consciousness.
Such profound transformation, however, often requires a rigorous discipline of self-control. And as St. John of the Cross describes in Dark Night of the Soul, what he calls mortification.
Mortification sounds harsh.
It does, but before you picture monks in hair shirts or extreme self-punishment, think of it more as a rigorous internal discipline, a process of purification. He speaks of spiritual temperance and sobriety as leading to this mortification, fear, and submission in all things. It's about cultivating radical self-control, shedding the ego's desires and attachments, and embracing humility and inner discipline.
Shedding desires.
Yes. He states that the perfection and worth of things consist not in the multitude and the pleasantness of one's actions, but in being able to deny oneself in them. It's about letting go, not just doing more.
So, as you clarified, this isn't about punishment, but purification, a stripping away of what is not essential. St. John of the Cross describes this arduous yet transformative process, the dark night, as an inflowing of God into the soul.
An inflowing of God.
Which purges it from its ignorances and imperfections, habitual, natural, and spiritual, and which is called by contemplatives infused contemplation or mystical theology. Through this painful yet necessary divine wisdom, God produces striking effects in the soul, for by purging and illumining it, he prepares it for the union of love with God.
It's an intense internal alchemy, preparing the soul for a deeper, more profound connection, a state of pure receptivity to divine love, like clearing the ground before planting.
A powerful metaphor.
And this raises a truly profound question. How deep does this purging go? St. John of the Cross is unflinching. He states that for the understanding to be united with divine light and become divine, it must first be purged and annihilated as to its natural light and brought actually into darkness.
Annihilated, that's strong language.
It is. Similarly, the will must be purged and annihilated in all its affections and feelings, and left in a state of aridity and constraint, proportionate to the natural affections it held before. This intense discipline, though described as profound and horrible and most painful, leads to a simple and pure disposition.
Simple and pure.
And a palate that is purged and healthy, ready to experience the rare and sublime touches of divine love, leading to a divine transformation where all contrarieties are expelled, leaving the soul ready for authentic joy.
And sometimes meaning and purpose, and indeed a profound form of joy, are forged in the crucible of extreme suffering. We have to talk about Viktor Frankl.
Yes, absolutely, a crucial voice.
In Man's Search for Meaning, he provides a profound and harrowing example from his experiences in Nazi concentration camps. He observed that even in the most dehumanizing conditions, individuals could preserve inner freedom and personal values to avoid becoming part of a mass or animal-like.
Maintaining their humanity against all odds.
Exactly. They found a way to maintain their humanity and dignity by choosing their attitude and finding meaning, even when stripped of everything else imaginable. This inner freedom, he powerfully argued, could not be taken away.
Frankl indeed emphasized what he called the relativity of suffering and the incredible, indomitable power of hope. His own philosophy, logotherapy, derived directly from these experiences, is perhaps best summarized by a student's observation. Makna hidup Anda adalah membantu orang lain menemukan makna hidup mereka.
Which means?
The meaning of your life is to help others find the meaning of their lives.
Wow, that's powerful.
It suggests that finding purpose, particularly one that extends beyond oneself, especially in helping others, is a powerful antidote to suffering and a pathway to enduring meaning, even in the most dire circumstances. It's about transcending oneself through a higher purpose.
And Pema Chodron, a contemporary Buddhist teacher in When Things Fall Apart, offers similar wisdom for navigating difficult times. She advises that how we relate to this mess will be sowing the seeds of how we will relate to whatever happens next.
Our response matters deeply.
Yes. We can make ourselves miserable, or we can make ourselves strong. It's a powerful invitation to conscious engagement. She urges us to be brave enough to be fully alive and awake to every moment of life, including all the lack of cheer, all the dark times when clouds cover the sun.
Embracing the whole spectrum.
Right. It's about facing everything with precision and gentleness, which she says creates fundamental cheerfulness and relaxation, moving us towards genuine happiness.
These insights collectively point us towards the powerful role of simplicity, contentment, and purposeful living in cultivating a joyful existence. Henry David Thoreau in Walden speaks passionately against inherited encumbrances like farms, houses, barns, and tools.
All the stuff.
All the stuff, lamenting how many a poor immortal soul have I met, well-nigh crushed and smothered under its load. He suggests that the portionless find it labor enough to subdue and cultivate a few cubic feet of flesh.
Meaning focus on ourselves, our inner lives.
Exactly. This is a stark call for simplifying our external lives, freeing ourselves from the burden of excessive possessions and societal expectations. To instead focus our precious energy on our internal world, on cultivating our true self, it's about removing the external clutter that obscures our inner purpose and, consequently, our inner joy.
And Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, provides timeless advice for cultivating a peaceful and contented mind, echoing this very sentiment of internal focus. He urges us to approve yourself and those which are in your power.
What we can control.
Right. Sincerity, gravity, patient diligence, contempt of pleasure, and heart never opining at providence, contentment with a little, good nature, freedom, a temper unsolicitous about superfluities.
Timeless virtues.
They are. These are not grand, unattainable goals. They are everyday virtues, qualities we can cultivate that lead to a deeper sense of internal peace and unwavering equanimity, regardless of external circumstances. It's about focusing on what we truly can control, our character and our responses to life.
And Theologia Germanica, an anonymous 14th century mystical text, reinforces this pursuit of inner freedom, stating, "In what measure we put off the creature,
Worldly stuff again.
in the same measure are we able to put on the Creator." This powerful metaphor suggests a direct correlation between our detachment from worldly attachments to the creature and our capacity to connect with the divine essence within the Creator. It also emphasizes seeking goodness as goodness and for the sake of goodness rather than for self-serving reasons.
Pure intention.
Exactly. This pure intention, unburdened by egoic desires, is essential for true spiritual alignment and the experience of true freedom and lasting joy.
Now, this might sound counterintuitive to some, but the untethered soul suggests that confronting our own mortality can be a profound catalyst for living fully and finding joy.
Using death as a teacher.
Yes. It boldly states, death is your friend. Death is your liberator.
That's provocative.
It is. It's not something to be feared, but a force that is constantly giving them something. Death is giving meaning to your life. We fear death, the text argues, because we crave life, because we constantly think there's something yet to experience, always pushing our joy into the future.
Delaying happiness.
Right.
And what's truly illuminating here is the idea that death actually helps you get your life back by making you pay attention to the moment. It reminds us of the preciousness of each instant. The text challenges us, asking, you're the one who throws your life away. You waste every second of it.
Ouch.
Yeah. You get in your car, drive from here to there, and you don't see anything. You're not even there. You're busy thinking about what you're going to do next.
Guilty as charged, probably for many of us.
I think so. Death, by contrast, forces us to realize what we stand to lose, prompting us to truly see our children, our spouses, and our friends, and to live each moment completely, extracting so much more out of life. It transforms our perception of time and presence,
Making the present moment truly precious.
becoming a powerful reminder to embrace the now, which is where true happiness resides.
We've taken a remarkable deep dive today, haven't we? Exploring how the Dalai Lama's call to happiness resonates through such a rich tapestry of diverse spiritual and psychological insights.
It's been fascinating to see the connections.
We've seen that true joy isn't about external acquisitions or fleeting pleasures, but about an inner state cultivated through rigorous mind training. The profound release of ego and its attachments, and the boundless expansion of compassion. It's a journey from the outer world of craving to the inner landscape of inherent contentment.
So, what does this all mean for us, practically speaking? Where does this leave you, the listener? It means that the path to lasting happiness, as taught by the Dalai Lama and echoed across these traditions, is fundamentally an internal one.
It all comes back inside.
Yes. Centered on transforming our relationship with our own mind and with others. From the Dhammapada's emphasis on cultivating awareness to create an unshakable inner island, to St. John of the Cross's intense dark night of purification, to Tara Brach's call for radical acceptance. Through the potent combination of mindfulness and compassion, the consistent message is clear. Our inner landscape dictates our experience of joy.
It dictates everything, really.
Really does. It's in cultivating these internal qualities, this inner discipline, that we find true and enduring well-being.
Which brings us to a final thought to leave you with. If, as some traditions suggest, our consciousness can be tremendously expansive, and we are not even a human being, but just happen to be watching one.
That's a mind-bending idea.
It is. What boundless joy might truly await us if we dared to consistently loosen our grip on the small, limited identities we've created for ourselves, and embrace the infinite awareness that truly defines us. What if the peace and happiness we seek is simply a matter of shifting our attention from the temporary narrative of the ego to the eternal, silent watcher within? It's a profound question to ponder, and one that just might unlock a happiness more vast than we can imagine.